Moving on. So another one is legal representatives. So these can be usually lawyers that are in the family court system. And one, there can be just, zealous advocates of their clients, which is what they're supposed to do. But if they are ignoring an alienation dynamic that's playing out, they're going to be forcing the court to be investigating and looking into abuse and neglect versus trying to advocate for the mitigation of an alienation dynamic. And also, you have to consider the targeted parent and what type of legal representative they have. If they have the training needed to be able to address this alienation dynamic, that needs to happen in order for you to be properly represented. So that's another thing to consider. Moving on, medical professionals is another one. So what will happen a lot of times is sort of similar to what we talked about with the child counselor, is a stage will be set. And so an alienating parent will come into a pediatrician's office or another doctor, and they will set the table to interpret specific examples or specific events as abuse and neglect scenarios. So we had a case once where a parent came in and brought in pictures of pretty bad sunburn or some bruises that were on a child's leg. Well, in some instances, sure, that can be abuse and neglect, or a kid was outside a little bit too long on a really, really hot summer day, and they were running around the yard, falling off a play set like kids do. And so you can see how if there is an intense onslaught of this narrative coming from this one parent, and they don't really have anything else to go on, they can be forced to, again, at times, report to investigative agencies like a protective services, where a child is coming in and saying something and repeating a narrative that they are saying based on a loyalty contract. Then all of a sudden that medical professional can be part of the system that is deepening an alienation dynamic. But also, that there are some professionals that will not take, so to speak. And a couple instances when we've been doing evaluations is a parent has brought forth these things and tried to paint a bump and bruise here and there as abuse and neglect, and they've said no, that's just sort of what kids do. And so it's just something to consider as you're going through this process of knowing the different outcomes that can come of that. But again, it's important to understand how routine things and medical professionals like that just doing their job can be twisted and manipulated to deepen this dynamic. So the other one will be school staff. So this is something a child, if they are in school, they're with these teachers every day. And a lot of times teachers have a lot of interactions with parents. And so the same thing can go on as a narrative can go forth and can be put forth in front of these teachers who, again, like a lot of these other professionals we talk about, have a pretty deep training around trauma and identifying trauma and helping children deal with trauma in a school setting to help facilitate learning. And they don't really have a lot of workshops for teachers around parental alienation, at least for now. And so that can, again, deepen, and all of a sudden these children and can be in an environment where they have educators that are aligned with this alienating parents, and it all becomes just this deepening of this dynamic. And so it's important to consider all this as you're navigating this.